Special 1. Congratulations to P-Dean, P-Scene, and PMM. Everyone has passed the emergency medicine board exam. Noong Grace, the prettiest resident in the department, spoke up in the middle of the conference room after the morning conference was over. Nong Kong and Pong got up and clapped their hands in a high voice, followed by other residents who congratulated loudly. I stood up to receive applause while Singh sat cross-legged and smiled from the corner of his mouth in response to the congratulations. So, it's time for us to follow the traditions that our ER people have done for a long time. Nong Kong walked to the front of the room with a cardboard box. Third then, the party tomorrow that will be held tomorrow night, we have to pick a theme for the party. Kong shook the box. Inside, there will be themes that the juniors have picked. I want you to pick. I would like to invite the oldest person to draw lots. The box was placed in front of M, and the whole room burst into laughter. What? I must hold the stand and sing. Stared fiercely at Nong Kong and made a beautiful raffle. She picked up one piece of paper she caught and read, "Tomorrow's party theme is to show off your lover's night." After finishing reading, M's face was confused, but the junior let out a loud sound. Oh my god, it's your theme, Pong! Nong Kong burst into laughter. This theme isn't hard. No need to prepare any outfits. Just for seniors who have a girlfriend or boyfriend, which I know that everyone has. Bring them to the party as well. What? I shouted while M raised her hand to cover her mouth. As for Singh, he was laughing and shook his head a little. I turned to look at Cap, who was sitting with a pale face at the back of the room. Well, as you're familiar with, those who don't follow the theme will be punished, Nong Kong said with a bright expression. But I allow my friends who have their lovers and live far away not to join the party. Pong, who was the owner of the idea, said, make a presentation of the topic instead, so you won't be punished. Tell us how you met, when was that, why you like each other, then show us a picture. I've never hated this third year goodbye party tradition this much. A pranking party for the seniors may have taken place on this campus. I remembered last year, the third year seniors picked the bolster pajamas theme, made them dressed in pajamas and carried the bolster to eat. People who failed to dress in pajamas were teased with all kinds of things that we now call punishment. Most of them tend to follow the theme to avoid punishment and have fun as a good memory before leaving. Then I would have to make a presentation to show off my boyfriend because he lives in the north. Mem turned to look at Singh. Who would be as easy as Singh? His lover is over here. He definitely comes for sure. No need to invite. A loud cheer echoed through the conference room once more. Gap was startled that he lifted the paper he was holding in his hand to cover his face. Singh makes a proud face. Is your boyfriend coming, Bitin? Nong Pin turned to ask me. I will ask him. I was wondering if Doll has any business tomorrow evening or not. But there shouldn't be any problems. If I can bring him, don't tease him too much. He'll get scared. I won't. I promise. Tell your boyfriend that he doesn't have to be afraid. We are nice. Nong Kong looked at me with her eyes brightly. Okay, if he can't come, I'll make a presentation to show off my boyfriend instead. But I don't want to say that there's a lot to show off. I might need an hour. My words a moment ago made a noise throughout the room. What I was saying is the truth. If I were to talk about Tall, 1 hour is not enough. Tall looked up at the sign of a restaurant in a garden where the junior residents booked for a farewell party. I walked beside him and raised my hand to push us back to continue walking. Tall turned to look at me with a scarier face than usual. What's wrong? I asked Tall, who looked stern. Today you were especially well dressed in a blue shirt and gray pants. His Korean hairstyle was styled well. He was very handsome. He was attached to the eyes of the surrounding people well. What am I supposed to do? Doll continued to walk, following my pressure. I've never talked to anyone. Don't be afraid. You never talk, but everyone has seen you and knows your name. I squeezed his stiff shoulder to loosen it. If you're uncomfortable and want to go back, tell me, I'll take you home. Okay. Doll looked around the restaurant. I saw that there were girls who cast their gazes upon us. I tightened my arms to make him closer to me to show that this guy belongs to me. Don't come, don't look. He is mine alone. I took Doll to a room that was a private karaoke room. As soon as I opened the door, I saw the juniors sitting at the table. Everyone looked at me and shouted in greeting. Doll moved behind me as if he was scared. Come in, Pitin. Nong Grace walked toward me and invited me into the room. She turned around and smiled at Tall softly. Nong Tol, come in. Are you hungry? You can go sit with Pitin over there. Tall fell into the eyes of everyone when he walked past. I knew he must be uncomfortable, so I grabbed his shoulder and pointed at everyone. Don't look at my boyfriend, okay? Whoever looks means he wants to fight. Aw, boring, Fong said with an annoying voice. I haven't even looked at him yet. Aren't you too jealous? I raised my eyebrows to Pong and took Tall to sit where they prepared near Sing and Gap. I secretly saw Tall looking at Sing with interest. It was because I had told the story of these two before. Sing was sitting shoulder to shoulder with Gap, opened his mouth and waited for Gap to feed him with a fried shrimp. When you have a boyfriend, you couldn't eat by yourself, huh, Sing? Okay, the last couple has already arrived. In the meantime, I, Nong Kong, want to be the host of the Show Off Your Lover night. Yeah! Kong applauded loudly. I looked at her, who was the demon heir of the department's entertainer. I used to be an MC for almost every event in this department. When I graduated, Kong was probably the one who took over me very well. In the meantime, you can enjoy your food. After a while, I will invite the third year and their lovers to come up and show off their lovers. Whoever makes us annoyed by showing off their lovers will be the winner and will receive the largest prize from the juniors. Show off? How? I turned to Tall, who sat with his confused expression. I raised my hand to rub his head. You don't have to do anything. I'll be the one to say. You just stand by my side. Okay. Tall reached out to scoop up some fried fish and put it on my plate and his plate. Tall was a well-mannered kid. He knew how to act appropriately at social events. Nong Tol! Gap called Tall, causing Tall and I to turn to look at the same time. Gap gave him a cheerful smile. I'm Gap. I saw you often at the ER, but never greeted each other. Tall raised his hand to Y. Hello, P Gap. Gap laughed. So cute! He turned to look at Sing as if asking for an opinion. Sing nodded. Yes, he's cute. I'm Sing, friend of Dane and a lover of Gap. Gap pursed his lips as if embarrassed by being introduced by Sing. Tal nodded. Yes. Make yourself comfortable, Nong. I saw that you're a bit tense, so I started the conversation. We're all kind. Then Gap was poked by Sing and opened his mouth again. What do you want? Can't you eat by yourself? I want the fried fish. Singh raised his eyebrows in defiance of whether he dared to disobey the order. Gap pecked his mouth in disapproval and reached out to scoop up some fried fish in his mouth. Even though they are lovers, Singh still teases Gap as before. Gap continued to be a prey of Singh, unlike me, who was very humbled to know I won't do anything that he doesn't like for sure. Half an hour later, the MC stood up and stood in front of the karaoke screen again. It's time for the show of your lover. Let's start with the first pair. Invites a couple of you sing. A loud boom and applause rang out as soon as Nong Klong's voice ended. Singh stood proudly and pulled Gap up as well. What do you want me to do? Singh turned to ask Kong. Show off your boyfriend, PC. Tell us where you two met, what is your impression, and why do you like each other? Though we knew all the story. Everyone at the table laughed. Let's consider it as telling Piti's boyfriend. I wanted to say that Nong Tol knows about everything, but I saw him sitting there smiling and not saying anything. I I met Gap at the first year's party. I actually hated him. His car was blocking my car. Sing turned to Gap. So I think that this kid needs some teaching, or he won't be able to survive in our environment. So I always looking for a time to teach him. When I realized, I thought that there are many students in the first year. But why do I want to tease this guy alone? Until Gap wanted to flirt with Nong Pin. I was so angry that she distracted him from me. So now he has been mine both mentally and physically. Gap raised his hand and hit Sing's belly with a loud bang. After that, I fell in love with him. Who loves you? I don't love you, shouted Gap. Sing raised his eyebrows. You said that, but when we're home, you'll tell me you love me as usual. I've never. It's you who forces me to do this and that. What's the fuss about? Tonight, you'll see. A cheering sound echoed through the room. Even Pin herself was been an intermediary in the matter laughed so hard. Isn't that annoying, everyone? I think it's annoying. But if you do one more thing, you'll get an extra point. Kung grinned wickedly. Give me a kiss on the cheeks, one each. Do it! Do it! Sal and I looked at each other, starting to panic about whether we were being asked to do something like this or not. Singh turned to smile at Gap and leaned closer without hesitation. As for Gap, he raised his hand to cover his face and turned away. Singh used force to pull Gap's arm and squeezed his chin to kiss his cheek. Oh, even Doll cried out, not to mention others who shouted until the ceiling nearly collapsed. Gap tried to shrink his neck with all his life and closed his eyes tightly. When Singh releases his hand, Gap immediately stepped back to the corner of the room shyly. Sing, be gentle. Gap will shy to death first, Nongray said, causing a laugh. That's right, Pising. As far as I've seen, this pair is too hot. But they love each other very much. Kung has seen Pising and Pigap reading a book together at a coffee shop. There aren't any couples as lovely as this. Okay, the first pair can now go back to your seats. And the next pair is the pair of PMM. M stood up with an iPad in her hand. Because my boyfriend couldn't attend the event, so I've made a slide to show off instead. M told the story of her love life with a young pilot along with slides. She met her boyfriend at the airport. By then, she was fuzzy about spilling coffee into the young pilot's luggage because she was afraid of missing the flight. The pilot must have been interested in her clumsiness and asked for her Facebook. Then they continued to talk until they agreed to be a couple. We plan to get married next year. I will send cards to everyone soon. Thank you everyone for listening. M bowed into the impressive applause of the juniors. M's showing off was not as fierce as Sing, but full of impression. It made me realize that the love stories in the novels were taken from real life, especially the story of Tal and I. It was unbelievable that no one would believe it. Here are the last couple, the highlight of the night. I believe everyone wants to hear their story. Pitin and Dongtol, a round of applause! He stood up with Nongtol raising his hand to scratch the back of his head in embarrassment. I grabbed his hand and squeezed it lightly to reduce his nervousness. Hello, everyone. I smiled at all the residents who turned to look at me with one eye. The story of Tal and I are quite complicated, but I'll try to sum it up for you. We have known each other since childhood. I was 11 and Tal was 4. I saw Pong sit down, counting fingers, and turned to look at Grace. I went to the beach with him because our parents knew each other. There was an unexpected event that happened. He drowned. Luckily, my father was able to save him in time. After that, I promised myself that I would take care of this person. Then we were apart for over 10 years. When we met, we didn't remember each other. I turned to look at Tal, who stood silently, bowing. We met in the event of life and death, in a way that it was unlikely to fall in love. But because of my dedication and patience, I was able to win over his heart. I knew the audience was unlikely to understand what I was saying, but I didn't care. Because of the message after this, I intended to speak for Tal to hear. I've never thought that I would meet someone who is completely opposite my type. Not a sweet person or a clingy person, not even a woman. But it made me fall in love this much. I believe it's because fate had been predetermined since we were kids. Because of the promise that I will take care and protect him, that draws the two of us back together. Aww! Everyone in the room shouted in unison. Long Tall turned to hide behind my shoulder to hide the shyness on his face. I raised my hand to rub his head. Thank you to everyone for listening. If you want me to show off in full, please arrange a 3-hour break for me. I bowed to everyone and took Tall, who was still shy, to sit. You said something lame. Next time, don't have to bring me here. Tall murmured. I turned around and put my hand on his shoulder and laughed a little. Are you shy? Tall hit my waist with his elbow instead of saying yes. I'm already used to him doing this kind of thing to me. Ouch! That hurts the heart of a single woman like Kong so much. Kong raised her hand and put it on her chest. After this, everyone can vote for who is the winner in order to receive the grand prize back home. Of course, my partner won because no one can invent sweet words better than me. Tal and I received a paper sash that said people's favorite show off their lover with two tiny crowns. I felt sorry for Tal for having to do something like this, but Tal didn't seem to feel bad. He was still a student and should be familiar with fun activities like this. After having to endure the karaoke for a long time, Tal and I got back to our room at 1:30. Because Nongtal was the youngest and the most affectionate of everyone, the girls inebriated him, and I had to be a dog guard to protect him not to get drunk as he has heart disease, which everyone seemed to understand. Hurry and go to sleep. You have morning class tomorrow, I said while he took off his shirt. There was no more embarrassment to taking off your clothes in front of each other at this point. Take a shower first. I'll do the ironing for a moment. Why don't you iron it tomorrow? Doll threw his shirt into the basket, showing his upper body. His bright white skin always caught my eyes. Tomorrow, I have a duty in the morning. In the afternoon, we are going to eat at your parents' house. We won't have a shirt to wear. I dragged out the ironing board and ironed. I was a person who likes to wash and iron by myself. Even though I didn't have enough time, it was more comfortable to manage my own clothes, and I always wore a shirt and pants regularly. Because when I went to work, I always changed clothes to a blue outfit, so I wasted a little time washing clothes. Don't iron, said Tall. I looked up at him. He raised his index finger and waggled towards himself. Come in. I almost dropped the iron on the floor and rushed towards him. I stood up and walked towards Tal, who called me, hooked his waist, and pulled him closer. Are you seducing me with your shirt off? Tal didn't say anything. He raised his hand to unbutton my shirt, and instead of answering, I'm glad. About what? I bent down to kiss Tal's neck impatiently. Today, what you said was so embarrassing. Tal tilted his head on the other way, allowing me to fully play the nape of his neck. But I just want to say thank you for loving me. I think Tal has started to take the lame habit from me. I thrust down on his shoulder before touching his face to lift him up to receive a sweet kiss from me. We kissed like that for a while before pulling out. I rubbed his hair until it became messy. You can take a shower and go to bed now to save some energy for tomorrow's class. Tomorrow, I'm just submitting work. Tal moved his hand to take off the belt, and I'm not a kid anymore. Oh my god, it was nearly 2 in the morning. But if he seduced me this much, then what were we waiting for? Even though I was tired of having to meet the needs of a young man 7 years younger than me, but it was joyful when the embarrassment about sex disappeared. Tal was always trying to tease me like this. As a result, the next morning, Tal and I had to flee the condo because we both woke up late. End of special one.